Welcome to Bangla City SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headlines. At least 7 persons killed and 7 others injured in clashes between 2 groups at Rohingya camp. Iqbal Hussain, the man arrested from Cox's Bazar for allegedly keeping in the Holy Quran at Puja venue, has been brought to Kumilla. Kurigram flooded due to sudden slope of upstream. At least 30,000 people are waterlogged. Now the details. 7 people were killed and 7 others injured in a clash and shooting between the 2 groups at the Rohingya camp in Okia of Cox's Bazar of the Friday morning. 4 of the deceased were identified as Muhammad Idris of Balukhali Camp 2 and Ibrahim Hussain of the Balukhali Camp 1, the Azizul Haq of Camp 18 and Muhammad Amin. Meanwhile, the members of 8 armed police battalion arrested a man named Mujib with the weapons after the incident. In the connection, Shiab Kaisar Khan, commander of the 8 APBNs, said the cause of the clash was not clear, but efforts are underway to find out the details about the incident. Police have arrested a young man from Cox's Bazar on suspicion of being the man accused in the case of keeping the Holy Quran in the Puja Mandap in Kumilla. Cox's Bazar police handed over Iqbal to the Kumilla district after the questioning for 6 hours from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. They took Iqbal in a black microbus to Kumilla around 8:30 a.m. amid the tight security. Iqbal was arrested from Sugandha Point in Cox's Bazar last night. And India has opened all the gates of the Gajaldoba barrage that are char areas of the Rajarhat, Uripur and the Chilmari Upojelas of Kurigram have been uninundated by the sudden slope, and it have been the upper reaches. At least 30,000 people have been stranded. The locals are suffering due to the water entering their houses. Hundreds of acres of rising paddy fields, freshly planted potatoes, chilies and other vegetables fields have been submerged in the flood water. The herdmen are worried about losing their crops. In the meantime, the flood waters from the upper reaches have been started at various points on both sides of the Tista. Meanwhile, the water level of the Jamuna River in Shirajganj has continued to rise again due to the heavy rains. The High Court has issued a written order regarding the formation of a board to manage e-Valley. It said e-Valley's customers would not be able to pressurize the board of the next 6 months. However, if any customer wants, he can inform the board of the court about the debt. The High Court Bench of Justice Muhammad Khurshid Alam Sarkar on Thursday issued a 10-page written order. There are some instructions on what kind of work the board formed under the management of e-commerce company e-Valley will do so. The court said they would sit in a board meeting as soon as possible they receive a written order. The way of the company goes, the board meeting will sit first. However, the board's responsibility is to see where the money is. Elsewhere across the world, over 200 people are reported to have died in floods and landslide in India and Nepal, with warnings of more heavy rain ahead of the region. Among the casualties so far, Nepal reported over 100 deaths, with at least 41 people still missing after the disaster struck over the week. While the annual monsoon season spans from the end of June until September, this year's monsoon rains caught the Himalayan nation off guard. Experts say both India and Nepal were victims of the ever more unpredictable and extreme weather that has hit the South Asia in the recent years due to the climate change, deforestation, damming and excessive development. President Joe Biden on Thursday said the United States would come to the defense of the Taiwan if the island were attacked by China, which considers the part of its territory. Biden's statement was at odds with the long-held U.S. policy known as strategic ambiguity, where the Washington helps build Taiwan defenses but doesn't explicitly promise to come to the island help. He made a similar pledge in August during an interview with ABC, insisting that the United States would always defend key allies, including Taiwan, despite the withdrawal from Afghanistan in the face of the victorious Taliban. Biden said the United States made a sacred commitment to defend NATO allies in Canada and Europe, and it is the same with Japan, some with South Korea, same with Taiwan. The White House subsequently told the reporters that the U.S. policy on Taiwan has not been changed. Pakistan will be providing more than $28 million in the immediate humanitarian aid to Afghanistan. The country will also urge travel and trade restrictions at its land border. The announcement was made on Thursday after the Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi concluded a one-day trip to Kabul, his first since the Taliban seized power in the neighboring country. Speaking at the news conference in the Pakistani capital Islamabad, Qureshi said the delegation-level talks with the Afghan interim government, including the interim Afghan Prime Minister Mohammad Hassan Akhund, were the positive. The Qureshi announced the significant policy changes after his visit to Kabul. However, Afghan visitors to Pakistan with valid visas will now be able to cross the border freely with an e-visa facility introduced in order to streamline the visa application process, he also said. Queen Elizabeth II spent a night in hospital for tests after being forced to cancel a visit of the Northern Ireland this week, Buckingham Palace said on Thursday. Following the medical advice to rest of the few days, the Queen attended hospital on Wednesday afternoon for some preliminary investigations, returning to Windsor Castle at lunchtime today on Thursday. That remains in the good spirit, a statement said. Britain's Domestic Process Association news agency said the trip to hospital had been kept under wraps because it was expected to be a short stay and also to protect the 95-year-old monarch's privacy. The overnight stay was for the practical reasons, it also added. Russia can begin supplying natural gas to Europe via the Nord Stream 2 pipeline as soon as possible it gets the approval from Germany. This according to the Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday, who blamed the gas crisis and record high prices in the European Union's energy policy. The first time the pipeline of the Nord Stream 2 is full of gas, and if the German regulator gives the clearance for supplies tomorrow, supplies of 17.5 billion cubic meters will start the day after tomorrow. Citing Europe's gas marketing facing a shortage of 70 billion cubic meters of gas, Vladimir Putin said on the situation arose even though Russia had recently increased its gas exports. He also added that the OPEC Plus group was also increasing output slightly more than initially agreed upon, but not all countries were able to significantly raise production. Myanmar's junta has re-arrested more than 100 anti-coup protesters freed in a recent amnesty, according to a local monitoring group. The Southeast Asian nation has been a chaos since the February coup, with more than 1,100 killed in a crackdown on dissent and over 8,000 arrested, said the Assistant Association for the Political Prisoners. Earlier, the military announced it would free more than 5,000 people over the 3-day. The Buddhist Tharinggyut festival, sending anxious families rushing to jails in the hope of being reunited with their loved ones. At least 110 those of pardon have been since re-arrested, said the sources. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres has said the world's current climate situation is a one-way ticket for the disaster, reiterating the urgency of agreement of the COP26 climate conference at the end of the month. The 2015 Paris Agreement on climate change struck at the COP21 summit called the global warming to be capped at well below 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level and ideally closer to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But the current United Nations estimates indicate a catastrophic warning of the 2.7 degrees Celsius is on the card. Guterres also said on Thursday that such an increase was obviously a one-way ticket for the disaster. The Glasgow summit begins on October 31st and is seen as crucial for agreement on the worldwide emission target that will slow the global heating. Before ending, we go to Bangla City SATV News headlines again. At least 7 persons killed and 7 others injured in clashes between 2 groups at Rohingya camp in Ukhia of Cox's Bazar early today. Iqbal Hussain, the man arrested from Cox's Bazar for allegedly keeping the Holy Quran at Puja venue, has been brought to Kumilla. Kurigram flooded due to sudden slope of upstream. At least 30,000 people are waterlogged. You are up to date with the Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.